virtual. And it just sounds really good to have like a buzzy sort of guitar synth thing, you know, behind my analog sound.
Yeah, that's a good
But
puzzle.
um, it is a puzzle, isn't it? Isn't it? But yeah, I'm totally into getting a synth pedal. There are a couple that I've got my eye on. I'm broke as hell, and I'm also super cheap. But one of my favorite pedals that I use is actually kind of like a synth pedal. It's this Ravish sitar.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically, you know, it's supposed to sound like a synthesizer, or it's supposed to sound like all these
Yeah, like
different
a
kinds of
sitar.
sitars, but it's a synthesis pedal. But it's really the only one I have as far as hardware. But
So what does it do then? How can I get rid of gas-powered blowers that go by and just stir up dust and don't do any good? Your thoughts?
I'll shut up now. Hey, thanks, Trevor.
Yeah.
How does it? What was the synth pedal?
Well, it's the common problem you have. You have this with guitars or any device that has a lot of portamento. How do you get it into some other instrument world? Because once you go to MIDI, you're relying on, MIDI pitch bend, which once you go beyond whatever that pitch bend value is, then you're in trouble. So you either need to go to an instrument that's using pitch bend for the entire like 1 or 2 or 10 octaves, or you need to skip MIDI altogether and go directly into some piece of software that can take audio in and spit audio out without quantizing it to MIDI.
Yeah, so we'll go into this to a certain degree. Is there any way to make this? Probably not. Okay. Can you still hear me? Yeah.
You're echoey.
I'm echoey to me too. Trying to find what culprits I.
It's probably you're trying to mimic Phil Spector's wall of sound.
I'm not trying to do that. Let's see here. Give me 1 second.
Nice mustache.
Thank you.
Amazing mustache.
Try something real quick here. Me fake talking. Ba-da-dum bum ba-da ba bum. This is Michael. I mean McDonald's. Ba-da-dum bum ba-da ba bum. Ba-da-dum bum ba-da ba bum. Ba-da-dum bum ba-da ba bum. Okay. Ba-da-dum bum ba-da ba bum. Stop that. I think I'll just do a temporary change that should solve that. Let's see here. Can you still hear me? Oh, still echoey, huh? How about now? Echoey still? Oh, I mean no.
I hear you, but it's echoey.
How about now?
Perfecto.
That
Perfect.
sounds good.
Okay, just sometimes it's small things, folks. Okay, 1 sec. See you then. My apologies, folks. This doesn't usually happen, but I've had a billion things come up and be crazy today. I will see you at 4 p.m. today and not 3:30. Smiley face. All right. Great. Now all of the problems with the Tim world are solved. I tried to do a bunch of extra things, and then a bunch of things came up last minute, and mostly positive, but balancing act as it sometimes is in COVID when you're teaching live and Zoom running all over the place, and various kids are sick and not, and it's COVID world, folks. Okay. But as you know, if you ever want to make sure that everything's under control and want to get some valuable, trustworthy sources, you can just check the news and trust everything you hear. Now, speaking of trusting everything you hear, how about trusting everything you can see?
I just saw the new Borat 2 trailer. It's amazing.
Oh God, I want to see that.
Me too.
I've heard people are interested in that.
Yeah, it's
Sacha Baron
Cohen.
What is it? Cohen Barrett. Yeah.
Sacha Baron Cohen.
So I want to first tell you guys several good newses. Okay, you may not know that the word gospel means good news, and so that's why every day I'm bringing you the gospel according to Tim. That is, audio things gifts, good newses for your earballs. What's one good news? Well, as you may have seen from the massage that I sent you last night. Does anyone know what's happening today potentially?
I'm sorry, what?
So, if you
Equipment.
if you didn't see the message from last night, turn it in.
Equipment, microphone, and all that things.
Let's do this. That's better. The balance of lake and face. Okay. The big news is that all the hardware equipment came in and is here and is going to be distributed to you guys starting at 2:30 p.m. today. I found out some more news on that, specifically that, let's see, I'll paste it in here. Okay. See, there's this. Okay. And then there's a map for parking lot 7 where you're supposed to go. Let's see if I can just throw that in here. I don't know if I can. Do it. Looks like it's going to do it.
I meet all my instructors in parking lot 6, though.
Oh, that's a different thing. That's when you're trying to get an A, sir. That's called the overachiever parking lot. No more can be said about that one. The main thing is, so folks, okay, education comes in many forms, and the form it comes in today is you are going to get temporarily free hardware. So at 2:30 starting today in the Mesa College parking lot, we're going to be handing out packages for you. All you have to do is show up with a mask, whether you believe in science or not. Put the mask on and pull out an ID that shows you. And then what the people will do is they will check you against being in my class and scan you into a barcode that registers you with the FBI, so that if you steal equipment and run away and just quit the class. And why do that, folks? Because think of all the things we'll learn about audios and medios and Cheerios. So that they can know that you have it, and at the end of the class, you have to turn it back in, that type of stuff. But you do get it until December 14th-ish or something. And what do you get today that makes your life better? Well, you get a microphone. It's a Shure SM45 or something. It was supposed to be something else, and it got upgraded somehow because they screwed up an order and we got a better one. So great. You get a microphone cable, of course, to plug it in. You get a pop filter, so that once you pop, you can't stop. Let's see what else you get. Folks, I don't want audio in your back. I want audio interface. So you get an audio interface, folks, so you can plug that microphone in and sound beautiful. You're going to sound charming. Your friends are going to rethink you. And when you're on Facebook or something, or you're on doing your live stream, you're going to sound so beautiful and sexy. It's like, wow, something's better and more interesting and flattering about you. And that's hard to say. It's going to be because you sound so professional and good. When you're in your other classes talking to them and they see you on your microphone going, oh, that's interesting, prof. I'll have to consider that more later. They say, wow, my ears feel like, are there pillows coming through that? Like ear pillows? Because I love the way you sound. Everyone's going to like you more. You're going to be more successful. People will start sending you money because of how great you sound in your virtual fake life online.
I can attest. People always tell me that in my other classes, that I sound amazing.
I always say that to you. That's true.
I know. It is wonderful. Thank you.
Folks, don't deny that. When Josue sounds good, you got to let him know, okay? It's good stuff there. Don't hold back because of jealousy. Just be a baller like him. And you will be, because you're going to be speaking to that microphone, a new audio interface. What else do you get? You get a stand for the microphone, so you don't just have to sit it on the table and watch it roll off the table or get knocked off by your cat or dog. What else? Oh, why not have a freaking MIDI keyboard so that you can play software instruments without having to type them in with your computer keyboard like letters? Yeah.
And headphones.
Oh, of course. Yeah, and headphones. Over your headphones to plug in to the 1/4-inch jack of your interface. So you get everything you need to record music with an actual microphone and audio interface. And you get the MIDI keyboard to trigger that MIDI, so you can get those pitch bends to go almost as far as you want, but not quite so far. Unless we use some other hacks, which we'll look at, and Trevor and I can probably tell you about various hacks to do that. But you will get a bunch of stuff, and I'm so freaking excited because I've been waiting for this, and all the snafus happen and stuff, but it's finally here. So starting today at 2:30 in the parking lot, you can go pick up your stuff, your package there. Alan's going to be there. Some other people are going to be there, so you can get that. What the heck else? We didn't know about Tuesday, but now we do. Tuesday, I'll just paste just the schedule part of it again. Tuesday from 1 to 3 p.m., aka tomorrow day. We're going to also have the parking lot open for that. And Wednesday from 4 to 6 p.m. Yeah, so I'm freaking ecstatic about this. If you happen to be taking the class and you're from a distance, we will actually mail it to you too if you want. We'll get it to you. If you have some issue because you don't have a car, like because you're smart enough to not buy a car like me and go, why am I buying a car? Now it's COVID and rats eat my car and it cost me lots of money and I should have just paid for Ubers and try to save it for rent. Okay, so you're smart like that and you don't have a car. Okay, or you're an adjunct teacher, so you're poor and you don't know if you're gonna have a job next semester. Look, we don't expect you to necessarily to be able to make it to Mesa. So if you're having issues like that, it's no embarrassment, it's no issue. Just let us know. Alan and I or others will find out a way to pick up the packages for you and deliver them for you. If there's no way you can make it there yourself, just PM me later and let me know what's up. Or don't let me know what's up. Just let me know that you need some help with it, right? I don't need to know your personal business. But if there's some need that you have there and it's causing you to not be able to get it, we're a community college and we're here to help you out. We know everyone has a lot of stuff they're dealing with right now. So don't let anything stop you from getting what you deserve, which is a bunch of cool equipment to work with. What else is this going to be great with? When you're at 2 a.m. and you can't sleep, put on those headphones and make some jams, folks. Okay. You want 2 or 3 more boyfriends? Just make those jams, folks. They'll be willing. They'll wait in line. They'll be happy to share. Okay. Additionally, if you want to just listen to all the music you love, or girlfriends or whatever you want, I mean, pets, cats come when you play music. If you also just want all your music to sound better, all your music is going to sound better than it ever has before coming out of the audio interface now. So you're going to want to allocate some time to not do any schoolwork, but just listen to music for hours. That's what I did as soon as I got out of your interface. And then the sounds was like, oh God, yes. Right?
Soldier Boy 24/7.
Right? Say Sardos. And those 7 chords, they sound like 11 chords once you have the headphones plugged in. So, wait, can you make that sound again? I want to hear it in high def. Yes, that's it. Nicely done. Thank you. Okay. Now, let us be a bit more serious here. One more positive update, folks. You see this mustache of mine, right? Beautiful, perfectly grown. But did you know that I have even more to offer you today for that? That's totally irrelevant, but hopefully makes your day a little bit less sleepy. Well, I'm glad I asked. Let's see. I feel like I need some really ugly, bushy ass eyebrows. No, I want a different mustache. How about this one? Or this one? Or that one, huh? Man, I wish I had lipstick on right now. And now I do, huh? So I look like something between Trump and a geisha. But all of you could have that too if you download the new beta version of Canvas. My plan was to come on here just with that mustache and then have it disappear suddenly and be like, what? How'd you like that? Wait, I mean, that.
How do you do that?
Huh?
How do you download the latest version of Canvas? I thought it was all through the browser.
Oh, look at that. Oh, now it's down here. No, you just go to Canvas, the website, and you can hit download, and there's an app for your computer. So, and every time you hit a link, it'll just launch the app instead of the web interface. And then the new beta version of it has studio effects. So not only do you get to show people that you're number one, or that like me, you like to hang out with birds. What's up, bird? They have some of these Snapchatty things like this so people know that you're a flower boy like myself. various, virtual backgrounds and the rest of it. Some of these ones, of course, I added here, but a lot of fun stuff. And since life sucks sometimes when you're sitting on Zoom, exactly right. You put the smileys on. Hey, what's up? Let people know that you're putting out a good vibe. You're stuck on a TV or something. It's kind of fun. So it adds a little something to things. All right. You can mess with your teachers too, throw them off a little bit when they see you with something crazy and they just laugh and like can't think straight. Important. Okay. That's that. So new one with Studio Effects is probably some of us depends on your computer's abilities too, but you go down to the very bottom of where it says filters and stuff, and it'll say Studio Effects Beta. Click on that and it'll open up a side panel which shows you a bunch of other stuff there. Can you see this if I share this? Let's share the screen and see if y'all can see it. Are you seeing me now in this fake environment? I should have my, yeah. So
Yeah, we see you in the settings.
cool. So I'm going to go down here. I feel like this. I feel like chicken tonight. I want to just have this like sepia background. So these are fun. Got the different video backgrounds in here.
This is from Canvas or from Zoom?
This is from Zoom.
Oh, so it's I'm sorry. So you go to the Zoom website and you update your Zoom? Is that what you're
Yes.
saying? Okay,
Uh-huh.
got it.
You can go video. Let's change to mirror my background. There we go. Now I can actually see where I expect. Okay. It's just fun though, so make your audio settings better. You can go in there and you can say that you want the high quality music mode and stereo audio. There's a lot of updates and they just make day-to-day current life better, right? So do yourself a favor, become a chef, and do that with me, okay? Also, Halloween's coming up, so just be prepared. Get that stuff happening there. All right.
I might wear a costume every Zoom after this.
I think it's a good idea, and especially if it makes you slightly happier or it makes you feel kind of silly, then yeah, rock it, go for it. Yeah, all of you, I encourage you to do that. You'd be surprised, maybe you wouldn't, but I was kind of surprised at how much happier it made me on a day-to-day basis. Okay, so you have new Zooms, which is like a new like social app to add your life better. Nice, look at that. That is looking good. Looking very savory. You have audio equipment coming at you, okay? And then you'll be able to do new and glorious things with it, which is what I'm most happy about. I'll have to see if this happens. So now you should see my Protizzle. You see it, Protizzle?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I'm not a Pro Tools guy, but I learned a bunch of shortcuts because I was trying to do a bunch of things and it was angering me that I was taking too long. So, Che Guevara, the red one. Oh, yeah. Preach. I like it. So now you got that. And you can hear me sing. Oops. No, you can't. Come on. Ba-da-dum, bum. You can do it. Well, we'll see again. I set this thing up in a different way that should be working a bit better, but maybe it's still gonna have its laggy turns. Maybe it wants me to mute my video stuff when I do it. Ba-da-dum, bum, ba-da-ba-bum. There we go. My computer just can't handle everything. I gave it some settings to try to help it back, though. I gave it all the samples it could be, put its sample, its amount of buffer size. I gave it the biggest buffer. This is kind of cool thing. It says dynamic plugin processing. When I zoom in the screen like that, it's not zooming in for you, is it? Oh, I hope Zoom finally fixes the Mac screen zoom feature, because normally when I teach in the classroom, I scroll and it zooms in on the screen for you. Zoom, ironically, doesn't zoom in for you. Oh, well. So it says right here, minimize latency. I guess I don't really care about that. Ignore errors. It still shows you the dang errors, Pro Tools. I wish I could just stop that from happening. Dynamic plugin processing is a kind of cool thing. Dynamic plugin processing makes it so that if plugins aren't being currently used, Pro Tools stops allocating processing power to them. That's a relatively new thing. I just didn't know what that was and checked it out. It's kind of cool. So it makes it so like if you have a bunch of plugins going and your CPU is being used, then nothing's working. You put that on there and it might make it slightly more efficient. So that's that. I also put a massive disk cache playback here So I use a ton of extra RAM just to try to make it play back when my computer is being throttled by Zoom and Pro Tools and everything at the same time. So it's working a little bit better. On a Mac, I have mine set up with the playback engine here of the main setting, but you can also put it on your, what's it called? It's combination cards on there. So since you're going to have your stuff either this week or really soon, and you have an audio project ahead, I want to show you some tricks and things you can do in Pro Tools. And the first one I just want to talk to you and show and try to show you is I want to try to show you how to do recording on loop and how to set that up, because I'm going to be giving you an assignment on Wednesday to complete, and that is to record like a pro. Now, what do you know about recording vocalists? Anyone ever recorded a vocalist? I'm putting my hand up as if you can see it. Ha 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 ha. Yeah, speak up. Speak up. Risa, I'm glad to see you're like enjoying that stuff as much as I am, right? You got that big old smile on there, like it's great, right? It's such small things, but wait, so microphone off one more time.
Oh, I mean, I'm not planning to get a BA, but this is a nice look.
Right? Maybe if you wear that enough, you might be like, or am I? Say, just get somebody give you the money for it somehow. Let's say, oh, I'm too bright. There we go. Nope, not bright enough. All right, nope. One more ISO. There we go. I mean, or ISO, as Thad told me I could say too. Okay, so when you're recording a vocalist, okay, we're gonna go back to me because I'm a egotistical, selfish person who can't think about anything except for I'm gonna be running for office. Anyway, if I'm singing, I get very embarrassed all the time, and I get nervous, and then I don't sing as well. If I put some reverb on, though, it sounds a bit better, and so I get a little bit more comforted and sing a bit better. If I know I'm being recorded, I always sing my worst. I just make that grand effort, right? And so that's actually the case with a lot of people, maybe not the extreme, because I'm like kind of a extreme anxious person, but and also outgoing at the same time, which is a weird combination. So I both want to talk to everyone and both are super nervous about it. But when I go to sing something, that causes problems because it constricts my throat, and I don't have open naturalness, and then I can't sing with as good as I'd like to. Okay, and especially that's the case for my voice class that I'm taking right now. Now, I don't do anything to doctor my recordings for this because I'm trying to be brutally honest with myself and not be some lame cheat. But that is not the case if I'm going to make any recording that I'm going to ever put out for people to listen to. I would never do that to me or you. Because instead what I would do is I would hit record, sing the same musical phrase over many times, probably 5 to 8 times. Just hit record and keep on singing it. I'd relax, try to sing it better. Sometimes I'd have a phrase I sing out well, sometimes not so well. When I'm all done, I'd take all the best parts of every single recording and push them together. So I wouldn't just have like 5 different tracks and decide which take I wanted best. I would make a composite track that combines all of them together. There's a shortened word for composite, which is comp. Okay. If you make a lot of them, it's called comp tons. And if you bring them out of Compton, people say, hey, you made that recording straight out of Compton. So what I'm going to show you is how to do comping, which is putting composites tracks together. And I'm going to actually have you do it for an assignment. But since I know that not all of you are singertons or want to do this singing, or not all of you are multi-instrumentalists and also polyglots, instead, I'm going to have you just speak a simple phrase into the computer. Okay. But I'm having you say it relatively in time. And there's going to be a reason for that. We'll see in a second here. Okay. So what we're going to do then is we're going to record you on your new equipment. Yay. Or if you don't get it working in time, just like your built-in microphone is fine too, honestly. But hopefully it's like a little bit of a fun push to try to like work with the new equipment and like get all jazzed about it and rocked about it or whatever you guys get meddled about it. Maybe. Does anyone get classical about stuff, or is it just jazzed? I don't think we do that anymore, right? Classical about something where you'd be sitting down, shutting up, and waiting for the piece to end and not clapping in between movements.
I get rocked out all the time.
Oh, let's get rocked.
Depends on the mood, I feel like.
Yeah, you get different moods. What's your mood today?
Good, I guess. Slash, I want to listen to a lot of reggae.
And a little bit of purple too, right?
Yeah.
Purple and Dark Knight Disney. Good. Reggae. Okay. Reggae is laid back, and chill. So let's all pretend like we're stoned. I mean, like we're listening to Legray, and let us jump into Pro Tools and delete this stuff here. I'm going to set Pro Tools up so that it can make your reggae sound the best ever. Okay. I'm going to go bump, bop, 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 bop. Okay. Or something equivalent of that. I first got into Pro Tools and preferences. I think this thing should be default, but it isn't. Okay. So check this out here in the screen share. Oop. Folks, you got to tell me. Screen isn't. Oh, no, it is sharing, huh? Why does it say share screen when it's already sharing? Anyway, let's jump over there in Pro Tools. Again, I went to preferences, Pro Tools preferences. On a PC, it'll be like Pro Tools, like options and preferences, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. Mac, it always is the name of the program. And then they have preferences under there. So we go into there, and then we have all these preferences. There's a bunch of things you can choose, because choosy moms choose preferences. I'm going to go over into operation. And then I'm going to click on this thing. Record is this main area, has a bunch of things, and down below it says automatically create new playlists when loop recording. Automatically create new playlists when loop recording. What the heck is that? I don't know. You don't know. Let's find out. And also, by the way, bienvenidos a todos. Okay? Happy to see you. Mucho alegro verte. Ver ustedes, rather, right? Look at that.
Mucho gusto en verte.
Cada día trabajando muy duro.
Work hard.
Work hard every day. Todos los días. I don't know. All day, every day. So we hit automatically create new playlists when looping. If anyone of you knows Spanish slang versions of all day, every day, and things like this, let me know. I need to speak some 12-year-old slang to people, and and I know my translation version isn't going to work. So we hit automatically create new playlists while loop recording. Check out what happens. Now, obviously, what's going to happen is it's going to have some buffer underrun, but I'm going to mute my video. We're going to try it a few times until it works, okay? So let's do this. Mute my video to get rid of all the extra processing powers used by the Zoom skis. I created a new track, selected my audio. I should hear my doubling. I'm going to hit mute so I don't hear myself doubling. It's going to record, but I'm not going to hear the sound of me speaking and the sound of me going through my system recording. Okay, I'm not going to hear the latency or delay from that. I forgot that and checked that last time. That was what happened with my annoying echo voice. Now you hear just a regular annoying voice. So now I'm going to take, I'm going to put this thing particularly on. I'm going to go to view and say main counter, bars and beats. And then I'm going to put on rulers minimal, because I just want one ruler. So much more clear. And have like 2 bars. And I'm going to make a selection in here. When I do, if I hit record and play, again, this may have a record buffer under, and we'll see. It should record me. Actually, I'm going to select one measure only. Yeah, one measure. So that's beat 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm going to make my grid beat coordinates so you can see which beats are 1, 2, 3, 4. And reggae comping. Yeah. So that's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say 4 words. Reggae comping. Because what are we doing? Comping. What are we comping? Reggae. And reggaeton would be too complex in their beat structure. So we're not going to do that. Reggae comping. Reggae comping. Reggae. You know what I should have done? Let's undo that. Let's make a click track. Track. Click track. And now I can hear my speed because that was too fast. How fast is this going? Let's see. No, I want it like. right? Reggae is not 120 beats. Forget that. Okay. So now we got that. And now I'm going to hit this counter here. It's going to make a little count off before it starts, so I know how fast it's going. Say count off for 1 measure. You won't have to remember all this stuff. I'll show you this stuff in an example. Okay. So you'll see how to do that stuff. And but just the process is I'm setting up some track. I'm turning down the speed so it's slower. I go to track and click track to make a little metronome for me so I can know like what's my speed, how fast are things going. Okay, and then I say before we start out, click 4 beats for me so I can get a sense of like the overall speed or tempo. All right, now I'm going to go to recording, and I'm going to right click on play, say loop, right click on record, and say loop. Since I had in my preferences and operations automatically create new playlists when recording, then every time I record reggae comping, every time I do that, it's going to make a new little track, like a new separate track of my recording. And it's going to put it all into like a folder, a playlist folder for me. That's going to let me then swipe back and forth between what I like best. Oh, heck yes. So if I said Ray, really great, or gay, really great one time, then I can take the best instance of Ray or gay and I can put them up there. Or maybe ping or comp. I don't know. We'll see here. Okay, so cross your fingers. Let's see if Tim can do this. I don't know. Okay, all bets, who knows? Everything's off right now. Record enable. When I hit play here, it's going to start doing my count off for 1 measure. So I go ready, set, 2, 3, 4. Now, reggae comping, reggae comping, reggae comping. Nope, reggae comping, reggae comping, reggae comping, reggae comping, reggae comping. Oh, wait, there's only one thing it made there. Let's unmute this. Reggae comping. Ganga. Sometimes you have to act extra ga at the end of things so people know you're finished, extra finished. So what do we see here now? Just audio. Like reggae companga, reggae companga. I mean, it's perfection. We can recognize that, but can we get more perfect than perfect? Can we get more human than human? Can we get larger infinities than we've had in the past? I believe we can. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, so we'll talk about that later, Thad, when we talk about fractal infinities of tree structures in the woods, where people live in the woods, in forest cities that don't burn down because of forest management. All right, so I have this here. I'm going to jump into this little area here that says waveform. Now we're normally looking at our audio as waveform, this thing, right? And we've zoomed in on it before and seen the individual vibrations that blew our minds. That's the air going up and down and then shaking the microphone and converting that into electrical versions of that, right? A maze. And look how fuzzy my voice is because I haven't had a haircut for 8 months. Okay. I saw that, but what I want to see is a lot more of those things. And look, we can actually see where they happen on the right side of the screen. Look at this. It's showing all these different recordings we made. When you click on the one it's currently visible, it'll highlight it like this. So, okay. I'm showing waveform, but Pro Tools has a bunch of different ways you can see things. So check this out. If I click on waveform instead and I choose playlist, what? Do you see what I see? There's a track on top and then there's many colors. You see that, folks? Did you hear my wonderful Hanukkah song there? What was the waveform? Sound good though? What was the waveform? So the wave was from me just speaking in. I was saying reggae comping, right? And that was like recording my voice.
Waveform, I see it. Waveform, I see it.
Waveform, I see it. Waveform. Oh, that was very good. I like that. Get it in there. Okay, we'll have to learn some Jewish songs and sing them together. Thad. Okay, we'll sing. And we'll sing Marijuana and a Hanukkah song and.
Mazel tov.
Yeah. Okay. So, and future things, don't be afraid of singing your Jewish songs or Christmas songs or Muslim songs or anything you got in there. I'd love to hear them. Thank you. Okay, you're welcome, folks. You little rascals. I'll make all your piano lessons work today.
I'm dreaming of a Corona Christmas.
Just like the one I had last year. Yeah, I know that one. Okay. It will be a Corona.
So can you go over which menu item was it from again? Or
Yeah.
drop down?
So let's take a look at this thing. I'm gonna actually, I went into this whole channel here, and I went to where right below where it has the record enable button, the solo, the mute and stuff, and I hit this thing which shows track view selector. If my computer is having a difficult time, I can show nothing, just blocks. This whole thing is called a recording clip. One clip. I could record lots of clips on the same track. Every individual block thing is called a clip. I could go waveform. That's what's typical. I could actually show volume. So I can have a volume automation lane that I can change right there over the thing, or pan. But I'm going to put it on this, playlists. And when I do, after I've made that loop recording, it shows every recording I made in that loop. Oh, hell yeah. Now, what I'm going to say about this, folks, is that Pro Tools has deep, involved versions of playlist making and loop recording or comping that it can do. It uses slightly different language than some other programs to describe how that happens, and it takes a bit of getting used to. But there's a lot of depth to it, and there's a lot of things I'm not going to go into it. Even this, I didn't used to show like in the beginning. Nice. Even in the beginning, I didn't used to show these two classes just because I thought, oh, it's too advanced. And I thought, no, everyone uses this though. So if you don't use this, you're really going to be behind the curve. Additionally, if you're someone who does film stuff and does dialogue and stuff and ADR stuff, there's some amazing features for ADR that you can use in the waveform view and stuff as well. So if you're interested in those things, I can tell you about a couple of those type of things happening, and some innovative new things that will save you an absolute ton of time. Okay, so here's my recording, but I don't necessarily want to just hear this first one. Reggae compang. Well, I'm actually not even hearing the first one. I hear something else. So I want to take areas and audition them and see what's best. Now I have these different things up here. I want to make sure that this thing right here, link, track, and edit selection is on. Link, track, and edit selection. Here's what happens if I have that. When I drag a selection, it makes these two little blue arrows. Okay. And so it's going to play in that area. It's going to loop in that area. That's great because say if I have this little, if I don't have it on, oops, maybe it's this one. Or is it this one? Insertions follows way back, yeah. If you don't have these on, I don't know why it's doing it at the moment, it may not automatically make the area you play follow where you selected. It goes to the last place you've inserted your mouse. Well, look, you'll see the value of these more as you deal with them, because the idea doesn't make a whole lot of sense until you keep on trying to like play a little segment that you're editing, and you can't hear it, and it keeps them playing from some other place in Pro Tools, and you're like, get back there, and you're spending all your time mousing around or horsing around if you're that type of person. So I want to hear what this first part sounds like and see which one I like best. So I'm gonna hold on to this. I'm gonna hit this solo button. Break, 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 break. That's fun. But I'm gonna jump between this solo button and the next one. I'm gonna go reggae. So now it's gonna loop on that because I'm on loop back play. But I'm gonna switch between different solos, so I can hear what it sounds like in the different comp lanes that I've recorded in. Reggae, 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 reggae. So maybe I like this last one the most. So I take it like this. I have it in grid mode. Since it's in grid mode, and since my singing was not perfectly on time and everything, it's like starting to cut slightly into this last track, you see? So I don't want that exactly. So I'm gonna go to slip mode here.
How did you make it bigger?
I hit control up and control down. But you can also go like into the track itself.
And drag down from the bottom border.
Yeah, drag down from the bottom border like this. If you hold option down, it'll drag them all at the same size. Option does like the same thing to everything. So everything gets big if I hold down option while I drag. If I don't, it like does it for like one thing. If you do control up and down, you can change it for the whole thing, or without selecting any of them, control and option. I can go back and forth between everything. Apple left and right bracket, or command left right bracket, makes things grow horizontally. So that for me makes everything like a million times faster. So again, for zoom in on a track, control plus up or down. If you want all tracks to do it, hold control plus option or alt on PC.
This is good to add to my my Word document where I have all my shortcuts.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and if you like them, great. I'll show some shortcuts that I think apply to like many people, but a lot of stuff I just won't go into just because it might not be part of how your workflow is. If it helps you, great though. Yeah. So eventually, when you're scrolling back and forth between a bunch of things for editing, it takes forever, and you're like seriously, just like I wanted to get fast for the whole thing. So I'm going to zoom in here. I'm going to get rid of this too because I don't want to see that. I want all my screen real estate. I didn't even need this either because I have it replicated up there. So now I have a lot of screen real estate. I'm not going to be hiding tracks either, so I'm going to get rid of this one. I can see much more. I like that. And so now I have this all working, but I'm going to go into from grid mode to slip mode. I'm going to click right here. On grid mode, look what would happen. I try to click, it clicks on the line here, on the line here. I can't click anywhere else, well, unless I hold on command, then I can click wherever I want, but we don't know that. So I'm going to hit slip, go right here. This is where I want to select it. And I actually got cut off a little bit in the beginning, huh? Well, that sounds okay anyway. So I'm going to take that. And if I hit this up arrow, look what happens. And let's zoom out a bit. Yeah. Here's my top line here. This is the thing I'm throwing everything into. Top line is where I'm going to make my composite. So I'm going to hit this up arrow, and boom, it throws that recording up into my main composite track. Now I'm going to see which of these things I like best. Do I like this one? Comping, 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 comping. So say I like this one, then I can go to that, yeah, and throw that one up there. Now, you can do that by just clicking the up arrow, but there's shortcuts for moving up and down here too if you want, so you can go onto them and just automatically throw them up into the comp track. I think there's a question or a statement, so please speak away.
Oh, okay. I was just wondering, is it easy to make a new playlist manually so that you can bring that last audio recording down so that you can still have that and not be overwriting it when you're putting the other ones, comping the other ones up there?
Yes. The best way to do that is when you first start out. I'm going to take a new track here and call it Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and mute this whole sucker. And then I'm gonna make my new track here. I'm gonna go target playlist, main playlist, new, name for new playlist. It'll go like 01. And then that won't be part of the original thing. It'll have new comp city and then new playlist for it. So new comp city won't have anything in it. And then the rest of these will be filled up. You can make as many playlists as you want actually, and you can throw things from one playlist to another playlist. So there's some complex things to do, which I'm not going to go into a ton of, but probably the best way to do it is just say new right when you get into a track from this disclosure triangle, and you say, when you say new, it automatically puts a number .01 and it numbers them for you too, so you can see which one it was and makes it faster to figure out. Then you start recording from that. So I'll go into here, I'm going to mute this and I record something. I think, oh no, I have my count off still, huh? Oops. Hey, 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 oh, that wasn't going in, was it? You know why? Interface, mic 2. Mic 1. Oh, let's delete that. Now go into here. Unmute this bad girl over here. Okay. Put it on grid mode. And do it again. Hey, 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 So now if I do that and I go into my playlist view, I have original and all these things. And I have this one here, new comp city, that I can put it in. If you want, you can click on this little button here, and you can change which one's the target playlist. So if you don't want it to be like the whatever one it automatically designates, you can change it to be a specific target playlist. Okay. You can also use these in waveform view just to jump between a bunch of them, just takes like the whole take itself. So again, there's a ton of depth. You can create parts to go to playlists on other tracks and things. I recommend first just going and do the basic version of it. And if you want later on, then you can do things like this, come and say, this is now my new target. See, it says target playlist. This one, I'm gonna take it off. At first, right, this is my target playlist, my first recording I made, Charlotte. So if I wanted to take these and change it or add parts of it to that, it would take these and throw it into this one I'd made, right? But since I had said new playlist first, it made this original sound I made, it made a new comp city here. This one had nothing in it. So I could say, if I don't want this to be the one that I'm adding stuff to, like if I don't want to hit this and then it goes up in that part, I want it instead to go into this area, I can hit this instead, and I can hit parts of this and make them go into there instead. Obviously, I can make it go into itself. Sorry. So, I can do that. And why is it not doing that? It'll tell you right here which one is your main playlist. So you can say target playlist. Oh yeah, here we go. Target playlist, new comp city. Then I can add whatever to that specific one instead, and not to this original top one if I want that one. I can also take this one. I can bring it down in here if I want and add parts of that. So you can go in a different order than you originally wanted. It ultimately doesn't matter a whole lot. It just depends on like what works logically best for you, because you just have a bunch of tracks and you just decide which parts of which ones do I want to use and which don't. That's going to be the real deal there. And as you play with it, takes a bit of toying around, right? it was frustrating me at first too, because I use it in Logic all the time, and I know it there, and I don't know it here as well. But now I know it kind of fast here. So because I just spent time with it, like if you want to move up and down between these things in Pro Tools, and you hold down Control and P, moves up. I think move your place. If you hit Control and the button right below P, the what's it called? The ellipses thing. I mean the colon and semicolon. It goes down. So I can go like this. I can also hit Shift S to solo a specific one, or I can hit Option Shift up to throw that one up into the main comp list. So since I now have several shortcuts for it, I can quickly jump all around to anywhere I want, and without touching anything with the mouse, I can solo them on loop, listen to them, decide what I want, and throw it up in the comp list. Now, once I'm done with all this stuff, I don't want this one anymore, actually, so I'm going to mute this whole thing. I'm going to take it, and I'm going to say, let's also get it out of my memory because I don't want. So let's hide and make inactive. Nice. That's going to be back here ultimately if I need it. Over here, all this stuff. But I don't want it right now. I don't want to take up my CPU, so get out of there. And now I only have this stuff to work with. Now this top one I made, it's not going to sound great because I didn't put, throw a lot of thought into it. But I have all this stuff in the top that's going to be ultimately what plays for me now. Well, I'm looped on something, so I'm going to go back. Comping. Okay, so I have that in there. I want to not hear my click track. Comping. Now, lots can be done with this. I might say I don't want this little part to be overlapping at the moment. Right, it's like kind of weird in how it goes in there. So I can take this one with the dragging tool and kind of go like, that's where I really want us to start. Maybe this one doesn't go perfectly either. So I go, nope. Actually, maybe I'll take this one here, make this one go there. That's probably going to be better. And that one might be okay. But I think I might do, no. Yeah, like that's going to be maybe a bit better. No, that one goes too far. So maybe I'll just go like to there and see if that makes it work. I'm going to bounce to make that waveform about the right. That won't be perfect though. So I'm going to select all these. Click on the first one, hold down Shift and select these. And then if you hit, I believe it's Control F, or I don't know how to, yeah. On Mac, it's Apple F or Command F. It'll let you make a crossfade from each one of these clips to the next clip. So now, tiny little crossfade. So if you zoom in, it fades out and fades in between the tracks. So that if they weren't perfect, makes the audio match when it moves over. So they'll sound better. Okay, so I got all that in there. Oh, if you hit certain buttons, I forget what I did. When you hit play, it'll play at half speed. Comping. Comping. So that's our composite of all this. Now, when I'm done with all of it, I may want to just fuse everything together. Once I get everything exactly how I want, I can right-click on it and say commit. And there's a bunch of settings for this, depending on how you want to do it. It's going to take them on, put them all together, and make them into one thing. I always save versions of this, and I'm careful about it and stuff before I do it. But now I have one fused together file that I've made of all my speaking. Okay. Comping. So I'm happy about that. At this point, I might want to go in and fix the timing of it too. Each of these is quarter notes. So I'd go into here and use one of these time stretching things. Then I can go into Event event operations and quantize and do it at a quarter note, something like this, and hit apply. And now my timing's fixed. Reggae comping. If it has weird artifacts or something, you can change the mode it's using. Try various things. Reggae comping. There's a little weirdness in there. Reggae. No options to that one. Maybe sounds better than the rhythmic one. Rendered process. Okay, if it sounds several things, you can put it in rhythmic. Try that. Reggae comping. It's got some issues. Probably polyphonic would be best. And you can do this one called rendered or real time too. Real time means it does it automatically. Sometimes it'll sound better if you do rendered. Reggae. Hear a little bit of issues in that one. A little bit of that effect. So sometimes the window which you do it with this could make a difference too.
What does window do, or this option do?
What's that?
What does that option do to the sound?
It makes it so I'm gonna take it off, and see how my timing wasn't specifically on because like a little off. It's pretty close, but like here I was a bit before the beat. You can see that the beat is right on this line at the right, but I started out too early. So if you want, you can fix your time by going to the left and turning this thing on. This is this warping audio engine thing. It's called Warp. And I can go to, it's a monophonic sound, just one voice. So I click on that. Once I'm on this now, it analyzes my audio file and tries to make it look, it tries to analyze where it starts making audio and stops and different things like this. And it analyzes it in a way so you can stretch it like we do with the stretching tool. Except for now, since you're trying to sing in beats and you have it in the grid line, it looks to see, did you start out loudness on the beat or was it too early or too late? You can tell it then, fix it to stick it to the grid if I was wrong. So when I went to event, now I go to event operations and this thing called quantize makes it, it'll fix my starting points of here to exact positions. So they all lock on the grid. So I say quarter notes since I had one measure with 4 quarters in it, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I hit apply and zoom in a bit. And you'll see when I do that, these things pop over. Undo, and I hit apply. Right, here's this grid line right here. Boom. So if my timing was slightly off, I can fix that. Maybe I wanted to sing harmonies, but when I sing my harmonies, even though they're good, they weren't always perfectly on, and it sounded like less tight because of that. It started to get looser as I added more and more notes. Well, then I could go in there, record several different takes of my harmonies, quantize them. You probably won't hear it as much anyways if they're artifacts because it's going to be less loud in the sound, you know, and then quantize them and you can get really tight stuff on there. So this is a vocal comping process. I go set up Pro Tools to do that by going to preferences, operations, and automatically create new playlist when loop recording. And then I just make a loop area to record in, you know, put it in grid mode and hit record. And every time it records, right, it makes a new playlist. Now this one, I actually consolidated everything there, so it's not going to be there anymore. Yeah, it's actually, and since I warped it too, it has different modes, warp modes and stuff where I can adjust this and stuff if I don't like the way it is. Set analysis view. Yeah. So with little knowledge, then you can get a lot of really good results. Each of these has a deeper dive thing, right? This thing where I can change it to try to analyze my music, this elastic audio stuff. There's a lot of stuff you can do to try to make that, tweak it to make it better. There is this whole mode once you've analyzed the audio that lets you change the analysis to remove things that you don't want in there. Like I don't want it to analyze the beginning part of the note because it's really more of a breath or something. I don't want to analyze this stuff in between here, just the outside edges. and that. So that's going to be a bit better analysis. It'll quantize my stuff better probably if I do it. This warp mode lets you put in whatever you want, anywhere you want, and drag things around. What's that? Oh, probably because I have it quantized at the moment, but yeah. Once you have it quantized, it disables some of that, but you can move individual notes to places you want and stuff like that. So you can do a lot of crazy stuff that way. The simple version of it, though, is you learn how to do a basic vocal comp, and then you put it on one of these time stretching modes, and you can fix little discrepancies in your audio timing as well. So why have you do this type of assignment? What's with it, and why is it important potentially? First, foremost, it'll save you massive amounts of time once you learn how to do it. Second, it'll allow you to capture yeah, I'm going to have to respond to some comments in a bit here. It allows you to capture much better versions of your emotional performances, because sometimes you're like on more in one phrase or on more in another, and you can get that most like inspired take from each part of it and get a super take, right? A really, really good take of all the best parts of your voice. It also means that sometimes if you're singing, again, it could, or playing your guitar, you want to get the best improv a version of like a 4-bar thing. You're improvising with the blues or something, and you're doing a bunch of improv over some chord changes. And sometimes you come up with cooler stuff. Sometimes it's kind of lame. You just kind of stutter and suck. Okay, well, take the best of each of those and stitch them all together, right? So it doesn't have to be vocal stuff. It could be recording live instruments of any type that you can do this with. And that allows you also to kind of just sit there. Sometimes I'll do this. I'll put a click track on or put a drum beat on. I'll just sing over it or play over it and just improvise and make up stuff and do it for a while with 4 bars at a time or 8 bars at a time. Then when I'm done with all that, I just go through and see if there's stuff that I like in it. No, that was kind of cool when I did this. I didn't like this stuff. So I just mix and match, but it allows me just to play free flow, and then later on choose what I want to work with. Right. A value of it beyond all that stuff too is you get fatigued when you play too long, right? If you sing too long or play too long, you sing the whole song in one take, your throat gets tired. If you're belting things out. So you can get less fatigue on your voice if you do this too, because you don't have to sing the entire song out the whole time, this type of thing. So questions on that? Questions on some of this at the moment? We'll be looking at this further Wednesday, and I'll have a assignment for you to do on it. But I'd like to take questions at the moment before I do a little recap, and then look at some PowerPoint stuff for our hearing and lecture stuff. So quiet. Oh yeah. Oh, not in this meeting. Okay. For some other little things here. Trevor pointed out to me, and thank you for that. And others, please do the same. Sometimes there'll be mistakes in quizzes of mine and stuff. Probably actually more this semester than normal, because I'm making a ton of stuff every single week to try to translate some of this class into a version that works online better. And that also works with new tools in Canvas that were just released. What that means is there's going to be a bit more snafus in there. So if something happens and something's not working correctly, let me know right away so I can fix it for you, get that happening. In this case, there was 2 questions actually on the quiz, which I accidentally clicked on the wrong thing to say it was the correct answer. For some reason, one of them would never go back, even though I changed it like 10 times in the system. It just kept on defaulting to the wrong answer. So I think it's still not going to be that. I'm going to basically have to give you guys extra points because of that. What happens when you're exporting this out? You make your comp track, right? I go File, I go Export. No, I don't, because I'm doing bounce. I go File, bounce to disk. What should I choose here? Should I choose multiple mono?
Interleave.
Interleaved. The quiz was telling you not to pick interleave because somehow I late night or something, clicked on the wrong thing to say that's the correct answer. Okay, but the correct answer is interleaved. What happens if you do multiple mono or mono summed?
It separates them into left and right, something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's not going to be in stereo.
most programs it's default to interleave, so you never even think about it, or it's default to stereo. Pro Tools doesn't make that assumption, and so if you end up having the other one on there, you send people a file and they get a track that only plays back in their left ear, or only plays back in the right ear. Okay, you don't want that. Okay, and Homa don't play that. So what you should do instead is export it as stereo, or as Pro Tools calls it, interleave, like your I think of interweave, right? Do that with the 2 mono tracks. That's a good educational tool, right? You all understand that, right? Good. Mid side, north side. I don't know. So you do that. So I export this. What else? What happens if I don't do offline? Let's do this for a second here. Here's my beautiful piece, and it lasts view, rulers. I'm going to show minutes and seconds. It lasts about 3 seconds. Okay, about 3 seconds. I'm going to go ahead and file now, bounce the disk. And if I don't have this offline thing ticked, I hit bounce, break a comping, and it says bouncing and time remaining. While it's bouncing, or while it's putting all the stuff together, it takes the whole length, or 3 seconds, it takes the whole length of my song to export. What would happen if my song was 5 minutes long?
It would take 5 minutes.
5 minutes to export. Now, I used to do some field recordings and stuff and then put them in Pro Tools. I could record outdoor sounds for 2 hours. And Pro Tools, for the longest time, did not have that offline bounce. And it, various points, especially if you weren't using the native version that has hardware stuff to work along with it, it was prone to crash. I was 2 hours and 30 minutes in for my 3-hour recording. And I would be going nuts. I would put it sometimes recording in there, like I was doing, especially even more with video. And I knew it was going to take a day or two to process, to export my video or some. And I'd before I went to sleep at night, I'd put it in export and then I'd wake up and hope that it didn't crash. Nowadays, if you have long recordings like that, okay, that was the early 2000s. Now, though, in general, what you can do is you can go to bounce to disk and just make sure this offline thing is done, and it'll export it as fast as it's capable of doing. You'll see it processing big fat numbers that lets you know that things are high quality. Okay. So that's that, and that was wrong in the quiz. So if I see just a few points in your quiz that's wrong, I'll give them back to you on that. Okay. What happens if you didn't do the quiz yet? Well, do it. Just check your assignments to see what's due. Check your grades to see where you have Fs, right? Because you didn't do it, and do those. I have several of you, about 6 of you, who are getting solid Fs in here. My and a few Ds as well, but they're higher Ds. But none of you are D or F quality people. Yeah. So if you're one of those people, get the stuff done. Otherwise, I assume you want me to drop you from the class. The drop date is October 23rd, right? If you don't have enough stuff done, as I said in the syllabus, you have weeks of stuff missing, the assumption is you don't want to be here. Maybe you don't just like the assignments or you have issues with it, right? But I don't know that unless you communicate that to me. And again, as a worrisome person, I'm like, oh my God, these people are smart, but they're not doing, this is not done for some reason or another. I don't know. So make sure if you haven't already and don't know your grade, check out your grade. One, you may be surprised. I have an F, I have an A. Okay. Check to see what your grade is. Every few days too, I'll go in after assignments are due and I'll put zeros in for everyone who hasn't done it. My hope is then you see a 0 and you go back and do it and get the late credit. Okay. So you can get late credit for everything. If you haven't done something though, demonstrate to me by the 23rd, if you're getting an F or D, or even better, that's 22nd, that you want to be in here by getting those things done. Or what if there's some issue and for some reason you can't get something done? Yeah. Okay. JavaScript, I'm going to catch up. Cool. But so if there is a reason though, right? whether it's like, Risa, you were saying like, you had to, your place got cockroaches and stuff, and you had to like exit the place, and it's been hard to like being there. If there are some things like that too, remind me, especially if you're not quite there the week of the 23rd, so that I don't drop you. If you do get dropped, okay, it's not the end of the world. If you beg to get back in, I can still reinstate you. But if I don't drop you and you have an F, and it just turns out that you don't get your stuff together right, you still end up getting an F, and then you're all pissed off, and you go terrorize me, Yelp and rate my professor and whatever else. So I don't want you to give your Fs. I don't want you to get them either. Just communicate with me if you're getting those things, so that if there's anything that I have done improperly, I can fix it. And that if there's other stuff you're not aware about, I can help you with, that type of thing. Who else can you get help from the assignments? Maybe if you're trying to get a hold of me, but all of a sudden everyone's asking me stuff and I don't have enough time to get to you at the moment. Who else could you maybe? Alan Goodman, right? Alan Goodman. I think Alan Goodman is going to be somewhere today, actually, too. Where might that be?
The equipment pickup area for the parking lot.
Oh, not parking lot 6 where you'll find Thaddeus, but parking lot 7 at Mesa from 2:30 to 4:30. If you're people, and many of you are, if you're people who need to actually go today specifically and need to peace out at 2:30. Stupid of me to say this probably, because probably everyone leaves, but you can all bail out at 2:30 if you guys need to get there by a certain point for your class or something. Otherwise, what do we have? Tuesday from 1 to 3, Wednesday from 4 to 6 p.m., and who knows, potentially something at some other times too, if we really need them and we talk to some people. But you're gonna want to get your hot stuff quick, right? Because you got like a box or bag or something full of like goodies. And what I really want you to do is start plugging them all in and quickly telling me all the problems you have that things don't work, so that we can fix those and get you recording, right? It should be a fun thing. My hope is that by this weekend, you'll be having things plugged in. You'll be wanting to download the extra sounds and stuff that came with Pro Tools, because you're going to want to trigger them with the MIDI keyboard. I want you guys to be psyched about this stuff, or as we talked about earlier, classical or jazz or rock, or reggae, so that you're excited about making music. Screw the class alone. Just think it's ultimately always about, we're doing this so we can make music, so we can have cool sounds and things, right? That's the hope. So for those who can't get out there, again, like anything else, you got to communicate to me, right? It's COVID, so you got to be like, Tim, I can't get there, I need some help with that, and then I'll help you out, or get Alan to do it for you too, or also possibly we have another helper or two that might help you out there. So questions on any of that at the moment? That stuff, past stuff, comping. Look at that, right behind you.
Which is parking lot 7?
I posted a map in the comments. So click on the map and it should have it labeled for you.
Wait, what comments? Chat?
Chat. Yeah.
Chat.
Is that where you got that?
No, I got it from the internet. Okay, got it.
Yeah, so there should be one in the chat there. The messages and what is this? Not Askbook, but Canvas. Yeah. And so you go there and let's see, where is let's see.
Lot 7's at the bottom. Overflow parking lot 7 with that red. Right where you got that red box.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, red box. It tells you there. It's like, here it is. Okay. So so where is this all? Let's see. Student parking, Mesa Conch, street parking. We're over here in AB. Okay, so yeah, so this is, so when you come into Mesa College from the main entrance, over by the hospital and stuff, when you're coming down, if you're coming down towards the music department, it's like right in front of it has a big steps and the flag and stuff there where all the main offices are. That's where this is. So it shows in the opposite side of the street of that. So I guess that's where they're going to be. Anyway, you have this PDF here that shows you where the stuff is. That's where it's going to be. And then I'd like you to also let me know as you're doing this stuff. Did you get the stuff? Are you having issues? Is it working right? We need to work together to make sure you have the best experience, because I can't be there directly to do all the things there. But I'm pretty excited about it. I think it's going to work. Right. Yeah, that's it. So let us pop on over.
Real quickly, Professor.
Yes, sir.
So this is today, correct? We go pick up everything today.
That's correct. If you want, you can bounce over there at starting at 2:30 to 4:30 today. You can drive over to Mesa if you have time to grab it. If you don't, you can come over on Tuesday from 1 to 3. And as you see in the chat also, from Wednesday to from 4 to 6. So any of those times there, you can drive by there, Uber over there, whatever you need to do. And then just bring a mask and COVID ID. I mean, not COVID ID. Picture ID. Sorry, a mask and a picture ID. And so they can just see that you're a student there in my class, and they'll check you off. It's actually the Mesa people that are in charge of also helping people get internet and things like that too. People that are affiliated with the LRC, I believe, the library and Learning Resource Center, as I call it. They'll check you off with a barcode thing that connects your equipment to your student ID and stuff, and then you just drive home and have your new equipment until December.
Which equipment is it exactly?
It's a microphone, which is, I believe it's the I don't remember all the specifics of it, but it's a Shure microphone, a dynamic microphone with a cable, stand, and pop filter. It's a Behringer audio interface, and it's headphones. I don't remember the company, the headphone manufacturer, but over-the-ear headphones that you can plug into your audio interface, and it's a MIDI keyboard also. I believe it's the M Audio. So everything you need to record audio and listen to it. Headphones, microphone, and all this stuff, audio interface, and MIDI keyboard, so you can trigger MIDI instruments and stuff like that too.
All that is posted on Canvas, like the instructions and all that?
Yes, so every specific of it isn't posted because I was kind of waiting for the last minute last night for confirmation that it was going to be there and be able to be distributed to you, but I will repost this updated version. And yeah, Jesus Christ. Beans, get off. Attacked by my cat. Yeah, I see you there. Don't jump on me out of nowhere. Okay, you give me a heart attack.
Show the cat.
Yeah, 1 second. Let me let the cat out because she is a diva and angry and wants to go in another room after napping forever. Huh, Beans? What? Don't give me that look. Be right back. Don't give me that look. Come here. Get out of here. You go. Yeah. Anyway, so all you have to do is show up on one of those times to parking lot 7 with your ID and mask on, and they will give you all the equipment.
One other thing. When it comes to the student ID, is it the physical copy? Because I still haven't received mine.
What do you mean?
Like the physical ID?
No, we just need an ID. We just need an ID.
Oh, no.
Government issued ID.
Just the ID. All right, cool.
Yep, any ID, because basically they're going to see your name and stuff, and then you all have student IDs numbers, and
yes,
it's going to connect. They're just going to see your name. It's going to be they're going to be listed. You're going to be listed in my class, and so yeah, any ID is fine.
I just wanted to double check that. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's actually pretty simple. I was thinking, how complex is this going to be? What are we going to have to do? No, just show up there with a picture ID of whatever any sort, and a mask on, and smile underneath the mask if you want.
I still have my SeaWorld ID. Can I use that?
Yeah. SeaWorld ID works, especially if you want to do SeaWorld nights when they used to have those city lights. Remember that? City nights, SeaWorld back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
Back before they had the roller coasters, Captain Kids World.
I remember that.
Yeah, that's good stuff. So good stuff keeps on coming. Some of you will be jumping over there at the moment. I'll post this stuff for you again for your convenience in the announcements after this. But the main takeaway is you have equipment now, so go get it. Or if there's not possible for you, let me know why that. Well, not necessarily why that is. Let me know how I can help you facilitate you getting that equipment. because I want you guys to spend a lot of time just making music, but have the equipment, and then we'll all be on the same page, right? We'll all have the same equipment to make stuff with. So it'll be easier to help each other out, or to understand like what the quality is coming out, if it's good or bad, like why that is, that type of thing. So I'm very excited about that. All right. Now, on my mustache, yeah, I took off my mustache using Zoom. So you guys got to get on those new Zooms. I'm going to jump on over, or zoom on over to PowerPoint. Oh, look at that. Insides of Tim PowerPoints. Don't look at the mixing one. Don't look at the mixing one. Stop. Nope. That's not right yet. We're not looking at that yet. Come on. All right. Yeah, we know about sounds and why sounds sound like sounds. We saw some of that, right? We were about here, I think. We looked at timbre last time, and how timbre is a tone color of a sound, right? Let's do this slideshow from current slide. And so the same note played on the saxophone or piano, same note in theory, right? Or same pitch, it's going to sound a lot different. And does anyone remember some reasons why it would sound different on one of these? Why would the sound of a piano, what type of things contribute to the sound of a piano sounding different than a saxophone?
Well, pianos use strings to make their noise, while saxophone's a woodwind instrument. So it's a completely different method of making the noise in the first place.
Yeah, so you have a chordophone versus an aerophone, right? Something using chords or strings to be, in this case, hit with a hammer. So it's a percussion instrument, a pitch percussion, as well as a chordophone. And you have an aerophone, making it by vibrating a reed that gets amplified by the body of a larger tube, and that tube has the air column going back and forth in it, vibrating back and forth. So you have different methods of making these happen. And what ultimately amounts to that? What are the physical characteristics of the audio wave? What things about the audio wave maybe?
It'll have a different set of overtones.
Yes. So, and I'm not being extraordinarily specific in my speech about these, but I'm a bit more specific in my descriptions in the PowerPoint, in case you end up talking to someone who's really, really focused on minutia, like tiny details. But I'm going to use loosely as the same. They're not all the same, but the same concept. Overtones, harmonics, they're all terms for the idea that there's a main vibration that we hear. The loudest, most pitch that we hear is this green line here. That's the main tone that we hear when we play a note, this green thing here. But when stuff vibrates back and forth, makes this green up part, this compression and this rarefaction, pressure, less pressure wave in the air. When that main air pressure wave is vibrating, it's not just one whole thing in a very simple pattern. It actually is vibrating with little mini variations of it. And those variations go at twice the speed, 3 times the speed, 4 times the speed, 5 times, and so on. This one here that goes twice as fast is the fundamental, or the first harmonic. First, you can think first harmony. The one that goes twice as fast is the second harmony, or second harmonic. See, it's red and goes twice as many times. So it goes 1, 2, 3, 4 times in a time of in a time of 2, or 2 full 1, 2 times as fast as the fundamental. This third harmonic in the blue is 3 times as fast as this fundamental. But what do you also know about the amplitude up and down the Y scale? What do you notice about the amplitude of the second harmonic with respect to the first harmonic? Second harmonic, you see
like
the
2/3 of the height.
Yeah. And if you look at here in the decibel ratings, you can say this first one is about plus 10 decibels here up in the scale. The second one, if we go across here to this red, you see it's about plus 7-ish or so. So we see a reduction of several decibels, right? This measurement of sound pressure level change. So it's getting less of an earthquake. How about this third one? See the little blue here?
1/3 of the amplitude.
Less still. So
Less still. And so what might you say about the general tendency of the upper harmonics with respect to the fundamental? Does that make sense? Am I too taxi speak? How would you compare the original pitch to the other harmonies that come outside of that same pitch? Every harmony outside of the fundamental is faster, meaning it plays a higher pitch. But is it as loud as the original one?
So each
No,
successive
quite a bit
harmonic gets
quieter.
faster and softer.
Exactly. Because each harmonic is a multiple of the original one. And when we talk about specifically things that have a harmonic relationship, a harmony relationship, we mean that they have even integer multiple relationship to the fundamental. So that would be like if the fundamental was n, every harmonic would be n plus 1, n plus so, and they would be continuing on that, theoretically infinitely. So you have a main pitch sound. Say your first sound was 100 times per second, 100 hertz. Then your next harmonic would be 200 hertz. Your next would be 300 hertz, 400 hertz, 500 hertz, up to the original one plus whatever number of harmonic it is. We just keep on in that pattern. Okay, harmonic plus one more times that speed. And the faster the speed that the waves go by, the higher humans hear it as pitch. So the first one would be and those are the first harmonics. So they have that same pattern. And if you take music theory classes, you usually have to memorize the first 16 harmonics of a harmonic series, or electronic music, you can do the same type of thing. So those harmonics then all combine with the fundamental and mix together to create a more complex and interesting texture. And it takes more energy to make things vibrate faster. And so when you pluck a string to make that fundamental, the main easiest vibrating frequency of that string, its resonant frequency, that main frequency that it can vibrate most easily at is the fundamental, the main pitch we hear. And then all the rest of the overtones, or all the rest of the harmonics, are softer and softer and softer and softer as they get faster. They have less and less ability to be loud. It takes more and more energy to make them come out. If you pluck really hard, though, on a guitar string, you're going to hear a twangy metallic sound compared to a much more mellow sound if you just barely pull it off with your fingertip. One of the main reasons why is because when you impart enough energy onto it, you get so much energy on it that you're able to audibly hear the higher harmonics come out. And those higher harmonics with higher pitch are much brighter in sound. So as a general rule, the louder you play a sound on an instrument, not only the more amplitude you get, more decibels you get, but the brighter the sound. You get a much more piercing, bright, metallic sound when you play something louder, and a much more mellow sound when you play lower, because it essentially low pass filters out all the high harmonics.
So I have two questions in that case.
Yeah.
One, before we get too far away from it, what is the technical difference between harmonics and overtones? And two, does the brightness of the sound come from a decrease or like a squeezing of the ratio together between the harmonics and the fundamental tone, or is it just because the harmonics are now within the realm of being audible as opposed to not being suppressed by the the fundamental?
Great questions. So thanks for the good questions. The first thing is fundamental. Overtone versus harmonic. Overtone simply means the tone's happening over the original one, the main one, or as we call it, the fundamental one. We call it the fundamental because it's largely responsible for the pitch that we perceive. As we know now, there are many, many pitches, but we don't all hear them equally because one of them is yelling much more loudly than the rest. So we hear that one, which is displacing most air and the largest part of the string, and that is the fundamental. If you wanted to describe the other tones you're not talking about the fundamental, but you just want to talk about the other ones, you might call them overtones, because you're saying, yeah, I know about the fundamental, but what I'm talking about is the other ones, the ones that are happening over the fundamental, hence overtones. So overtone specifically means not the fundamental, but the other ones, whereas harmonic just means all the harmonies. And in that case, you would call the, let's look back at this. In that case, you would say the first harmonic is also called the fundamental. Everything is included when you say harmonics. You just mean all the different harmonies, including the original one, the fundamental. So overtones, this would be called the first overtone and the second harmonic. For most cases, it's not terribly important. Most cases, you can just use them interchangeably. But if you specifically don't want to talk about the fundamental, and you want to talk about the ones that happen afterwards, or if you're trying to be very careful with talking about which one are you talking about, Tim? Oh, I'm talking about the perfect octave that occurs. Oh, the second harmonic. No, first overtone, right. Oh, Tim, I'm hearing a lot of extra energy in the third harmonic. Oh, the perfect fifth above the fundamental? Or perfect 12th, honestly. Yes, that's it. Okay, got it. And so it allows us to have different levels of specificity with which to discuss what's going on in the sound. As to your second question, and Trevor, if you have something to say too, at this point you can dive in, because there's actually other ways to refer to these things too. Yeah, opinions about them can be quite expressive. Your second question, the quick answer to is the second part of what you said was correct, generically, in that they're a mix of the two sounds, and that as it gets loud enough, as it gets louder, the other type of sounds of the higher harmonics become more audible to us. We don't hear very clearly or very well below certain loudnesses. Our ears don't pick things up as well. And as we'll see later, there's actually curves about sound hearing, so that if we listen to things about 80 some decibels, it's a better sound level to listen to, because we have more equal distribution of bass frequencies and certain other frequencies that we don't hear when things are quieter. So my simple answer to you is that as it gets louder, the higher harmonics are more prevalent and noticeable, and then we hear the mixing of those with the fundamental and an overall timbre that comes across as brighter and more in your face. There's another major component to all this, which is the next part of this stuff, which is, well, yeah, but you're speaking of that as if it's static, right? This picture right here is, we're looking at, one fundamental and its overtones, or the first several harmonics, the first three harmonics there, okay? But things aren't static. We don't hear things unless it happens in time, right? With zero time, there is zero music, because music is the unfolding of sound within time. And that evolution of sound is dynamic, or it's not staying static. So each of these harmonics actually has its own pattern. Now let's look at this here. Remember this beautiful recording we made earlier? God, I love it. Man, that's the best. Back in the day when we were reggae comping. All right, let's do something to this reggae comping. Let us put this on here. Where's my thing, Tim? Isotope. Insight. It's for safety reasons. Make sure we don't have anything on here that's too processor intensive. Let's mute my video. Give Pro Tools all the power it can get. All right. That one. Okay. Reggae comping, reggae comping, reggae comping, reggae comping, reggae comping, reggae comping, reggae comping. Okay, so we're looking at the waveform. we're looking at the waveform of me singing. And here's where I say, re. This is my fundamental right here. As you can see, the first harmonic is quite loud in it. Here's the second harmonic, third harmonic, fourth harmonic, fifth. Here's all these different harmonics that are happening from left to right. The height of these is their amplitude or loudness. Okay. Let's see. Can we make this bigger too? Come on. This thing nice and big so we can see this. So this right here, you notice I go relatively the same here, loudness, but then it dips at the end. Re. Here I can see dips too. And in some of these, depending on the word I speak, you can see that after several harmonics, there's this loudness increase in certain later harmonics. Are any of these mountains super smooth though? See how they're kind of going up and down? So fundamental, all these harmonics, but then over time, as we see going from this way, diagonally, from bottom right to upper left, as time progresses, we see an evolution of these things. Let's play that again. Composite. Comping, 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 comping. And so here's Ray, and we see all these little mini mountains with evolving shapes on top. And that's because we have the loudness or the amplitude of every individual harmonic changes over time. So there's what we call an amplitude envelope. The envelope, it means kind of like the easiest way to talk about it in music is the way something evolves. How does this evolve? Well, we talk about the amplitude of change over time, amplitude envelope. There's a thing where in the beginning of it, let's see if we can do that one, because I have a slide for this too. Here's our harmonics, and I show you this. And harmonics, overtones, partials. Partials is another one of these terms you can use too. And a really quick note too: if they aren't integer multiples of a sound, like times 1, times 2, times 3, right? Whole numbers. It wasn't until grad school then I had to think, what was integers again? Oh yeah, integers are whole numbers, right? Okay, versus fractional numbers and stuff. Okay, if they're fractional or non-harmonically related, meaning not integer multiples of their fundamental, those ones are called inharmonics or not harmonic. If they're harmonically related, they're related by being integer multiples of the fundamental. So we're mainly talking about the harmonic series and ignoring inharmonics. Inharmonics, though, will make a lot of clashing sounds that can excite things up a lot more. You'll hear tons of inharmonics in drum sounds and certain metallic sounds that give those the bright sound, but give it a lack of individually focused pitch. Okay, a little bit more on that later, but that's happening here too. Because I want to show you, well, this is where I show you the complex string. This is what I'm talking about is the amplitude envelope. This part called A is one of probably the most important of everything. The original way in which you play that saxophone, this might be like a saxophone amplitude envelope actually too, because you see how it's starting out and it's going louder, getting louder over time, but it's doing a little bit gradually. It could go like straight up to almost instantly on. Here it's like getting louder over a little bit of time. This window here, A. So when you're making sound on a string instrument, or voice versus piano, where it's hitting near immediate sound, you're going to see different amplitude envelopes that happen. Okay, different amplitude envelopes, meaning some of them are going to instantly go from 0 to as loud as possible. If you hit a hammer with something, right? You hit a percussion instrument. As soon as that instrument is hit, that's the loudest it's going to be. It goes instantly. So percussion instrument, its amplitude, its A here, its attack here would go straight up to max volume right away. Well, not right away, but almost. Versus if you played or sang, or played a violin or something, it would start out a little bit slower as you graded your arm past on the bow, or as your voice got up to full speed. It would take a little bit more time to get to the loudest point. There's also points when you go when it goes louder than softer, gets to its loudest most part, attack. And there's sometimes there's a little decay. And this area where you're just sustaining at a certain loudness level. Sustain is where you maintain a uniform volume, more or less, after the initial excitation of the sound. At the end, there's also R, or release. I'm going to load something up here. I'll just load it in Pro Tools just because I can show you the same thing. It'll be useful. I'm going to go here and say track, new track, stereo. Put a piano in here. Screw it. Let's do a guitar. The amp guitar, since it's free software plugin, right? You can download it and play it. Sometimes I forget which one of these take a long time to load up and stuff. Oh, I see sound. Why am I not hearing it? Oh, that's because I was dumb. Did anyone see my mistake? Trevor?
About routing your audio?
Yeah, did you see what I did when I made my track and screwed up? So I went in here, folks. This happens very often. For me, it doesn't happen so often, but it happens all the time when I'm teaching, because I'm like thinking about something. I made an audio track rather than an instrument track. So I'm going to go here and say delete. I'm going to go track, new track, stereo. Make sure it's instrument track when I want to do a software instrument. Now I can say piano. Piano. Piano is what my 4 o'clock student calls it. Well, why did you like the song? I like the songs for the piano. Oh yeah, the piano's great. Okay, it's my favorite way to say the instrument now. Piano. Although it makes people wonder about my mental health. Let's see here. Instrument. Come on, amp guitar, you can do it. Oh, you hear that sound of like the guitar wood? I did. It's hot and amazing. You hearing that all? Yeah? Okay, bueno. Now let's go ahead and let's take this Insight plugin, drag it over there. Let's make this thing inactive. Okay, so now I'm gonna hit Insight. Oops, it's paused. I wonder why it's actually being in 3D grayscale. That's what. No. There we go. That's better, right? Multicolor. Like the other one. So here's one sound, guitar. Just actually zoom out a little bit. So look what's happening here. We have the original sound happening over here is kind of reversed because I did some backward setting or something. Maybe we can change that. How's my rotation? Perspective, 3D. Whatever. Original sound happens, and it's a lot of energy you can see here. It remains a lot of energy as I hold it down. Here's all the harmonics up here. In the beginning, there's a lot of them, right? Over time, though, we don't have enough energy left in these high harmonics, and the sound slowly becomes more and more just this mellow version of the fundamental. You can listen to as it's vibrating on. Let's take a look at that again. But its envelope here is going to go initially up really loud. It's going to decay a little bit and then sustain more or less in the fundamental. But the rest of these harmonics, their amplitude envelopes are going to more quickly dissipate. They're gone after a little second. You mainly hear this top one or two of them. There's a better view of that. Here I hit it really hard and you can see all the bright harmonics in there. See how much of them right there? But now they decay. If I let go of it, at the very end you hear that down, the sound of it pulling off the string. So you'll see a little pulling off the string sound. That's the release. Release. And there you see it all attenuating or going down in volume. The release could be long. If I did something else like this, put some string sounds in here, and you're going to have a longer release time. These are the ones that I'm doing this stuff before for you. So that longer release time has a different impact on me. Hear something. Maybe I'll just do. Yeah, why not? Let's do that instead. Let's use their boom thing or their built-in thing. What's their built-in thing called? Subtractive something. No, vacuum. Okay. All right, so we hit this. Turn down their main volume. And then they have I pick this really thick sound, really high harmonic sound. So you see all those harmonics in there, and look, it's instantly off. It's just like block off, instantly on, instantly off, like a square thing, right? But I don't want that. I want it to have a smoother start. Put the attack, take a longer time on the attack. It says 550 milliseconds, almost a half second. Get even longer. I'm gonna make it decay a little bit less loud after I hit it. Oops, it's too much. Sustain is going to be the same level. And then release, make a long release time. So after I take my finger off, it's going to still go for a bit. It's going to go for almost a second. No, don't make it almost 2 seconds. Let's look what that looks like now. Come on, Insight. Now notice what happens when we see sound evolve in this case. Look at this front of it. Looks like little jets in front of a jet or something. It doesn't happen immediately. And that's because my attack is slowed down. It doesn't instantly get to the loudest point. Let's make that even more dramatic here. So it takes quite a long time to go all the way to its loudest point. And then look at how long it takes to finally slowly decay. That's because I changed the amplitude envelope of the synthesizer. These ones have a ton of harmonics too that are really visible, so they're very bright. They'd have a lot less if I did this, made it into a triangle wave. Mainly this fundamental. Not nearly as much. See all those gaps in between them? Now watch what happens when I go over to here. Actually, let's do this again here. Triangle wave. Saw wave. Pulse wave is like a bunch of like square waves with gaps. I'm going to cut it off even more. Nope, wrong one. What am I doing here? And you see it die away because it has a long release. So sound is evolving in a couple of dimensions at the same time. It has a main pitch, but it also has multiple other pitches that are related called harmonies or harmonics. And each of them evolves over time too in how loud it is. And the manner in which we describe that is important because the initial onset of loudness, the initial attack, contains a ton of information in it. All kinds of crazy variations are happening in minute levels of details. So percussion instruments, for instance, have all these vastly different, interesting, evocative sounds because they have just, you literally smash all kinds of information into a tiny, tiny explosion. Imagine if you took a bomb and threw it at a drum and you slowed it down with a camera that was at thousands and thousands of frames per second. You'd see all these little things blow up and change and distort and stuff in all kinds of ways that were interacting, and many times levels of unpredictability would ensue, right? That's going on with sound when you have acoustic sounds being made. So there's something always hard to capture about it with software instruments and stuff. Your hearing actually gets better as you listen to these things more, especially if you listen to the instruments you know well. You start to understand more and more what it is about the characteristics that make you like that thing. So I think this stuff is super exciting because again, it's a basic training for your brain to be able to understand what things in the sound make it sound the way it does, or like I say, why do sounds sound like sound? And that stuff, eventually, once you get past pitch and what pitch is, and amplitude or loudness, and how that affects the way we perceive pitch over time. Here I show you some screenshots that I made a composite image of the waveform showing the amplitude envelope and also its harmonic spectrum and decay of the harmonics here. This is I stole some stuff from the internet and my own screen captures to make this thing, so it's hopefully gives you all the information in one slot, tells you what the things do. This a bit more supplementary, but I show you these wave types at different time, how it turns on and off. The general rule is the more smooth it is, the less harmonics it has coming out of it. The smoother it is, the brighter it is. I mean, sorry, the smoother is the more mellow, the brighter it is, the more jagged. And the last thing we end up looking at, which we'll do some Wednesday stuff along with looking at your assignment for recording, is we'll check out our hairy ears. See, look at that. Ooh. And all these things coming out. Look at these aliens inside of your ear. Remember Middle Earth? Yeah. Inside your earballs. It's amazing. Look at this thing. The pinna. Is that a bad word in Spanish? I think it is. Not sure. Busboys used to always say to me, Demonwe. And then they say something that sounds like pinna. It's like a small, yep, Fibonacci's. It's got some Fibonacci's in there, kind of, got the cochlea look, the shell look. We have all these areas in the big part of open part of the ear, pinna, where it reflects sounds in certain ways and gathers them in, captures them. They throw it into this area called the auditory canal. They pop it over here to this thing called the eardrum that we feel a pressure against sometimes, and that disperses things into the middle ear, into these little bones here. These three main little bones, which act kind of like compressors. They change the manner in which we experience sound and evenness, because we're like cool like that. Okay. I stole this from the internet and then augmented with other things because I wanted to see what these things look like. But get inside this our big snail part over here, okay, the cochlea, and inside of them you have these things called stereocilia, which are essentially little hairs inside your ear. And those little hairs inside your ear are able to respond to different frequencies. So different frequencies come in there. The little tiny ones can get broken off and help you lose the high-end hearing, high pitch and stuff in there. But it goes through this area in the cochlea, and eventually it translates that stuff from chemical energy into electrical energy. Okay, so it talks about all the junk there. Impulses go out of the nerve endings, interpreted by the brain. Because ultimately, what is a sound, right? After we talk about all this stuff, it's just you have qualitative experiences in your brain. People call these in the neuroscience realms, they call them qualia, the factors that affect our conscious experience of things and the way we focus on those. And ultimately, all that junk is interpreted into what we experience as humans. But we don't necessarily know that other animals experience things in the same way. In fact, we know that certain ones don't, but we don't know what exactly the experience is, the qualitative experience. Might be a good thing to trip out on if you guys are into tripping. This stuff I won't tell you about now because we need to end this thing. But folks, our hearing is unequal. What? What? Not mine. Yes, yours. Even the 18-year-old girl with the perfect hearing. It's unequal. But how do we get that bass then? I can't tell you now. Look it, I'm being a good person. I got this up here just to let you know that so you're not confused. You don't think I'm like a president or something. And what we're going to do instead, oh, sorry, take that back, recording. And Secret Service and President, everyone, I love you guys. Don't shoot me. We have a lot of great stuff to learn still about our unequal hearing. What? Why would we want to know that? Because folks, we got to mix at the right levels so we can hear everything. We got to know what humans hear weirdly and more and like outside in some crazy ways. We got to hear like, what is it that we hear wrong so we can change things to make them sound matched for a human that isn't equally distributed. Then what else? Well, if you're going to be working in music all day with your headphones that you just got, okay, especially if you're in Tijuana, California, Mexico, then you're going to have to make sure, okay, nuestro hogar, I think, our home. You're going to have to make sure that you listen to things at what, maybe 120 decibels all day, every day.
I remember back when I used to live there, I used to like hear fireworks and I was like, wait, are those fireworks or are people shooting outside?
I mean, cohetes artificiales? Yeah.
Yeah. Cohetes.
Cohetes? Yeah, cohetes artificiales.
Oh, God. Yeah.
You'll have to train me on that. I can't say those words, but I know how it's spelled. I may have told you this before when you were in a different class of mine, but I did an internship in Mexico for a couple of months years ago when I was in grad school. And anyway, my flight was delayed. I went to this tiny little plane. It was raining like crazy. They were 3 hours late to meet the professors there and everything. And it was dark as can be in the middle of this city called Morelia, Michoacan. And it was so deep into Mexico, 4 hours from Mexico City. And I had a ton of luggage, all my music equipment and everything with me. And I was going to be arriving at this airport soon after like signing like off that I didn't bring certain things over. I was going to be arriving at this airport, and didn't have any way of like finding my professor. I'm like, it's 3 hours away. I don't know where I'm going to stay or how I'm going to get my apartment. And off in the middle of the black darkness. Finally, I was able to get a hold of them. I ended up staying with them for a night or two before I could get to my apartment. And as soon as I got there, I got in, and there was like barbed wire all over the top of this massive like metallic open doors. You open it up, and inside of there's these patios that's like all pristine and nice and everything. But when I went in there at first, down this cobblestone road and got into my apartment, I thought, whoa, it looks crazy out there. So it's broken glass and like stuff on the top to keep people out from the top. And then I started hearing these bombs go off. I was like, oh crap, this is not good. Something went off, and I entered the wrong time. And the U.S. right now is playing Mexico in soccer. This is not going to be good. And I'm the only white person in this entire place. I looked around. I'm like, there's no one white but me, and they're going to be pissed off. I hope we don't win at soccer. There's some war going on that I didn't know about, and this is not good. And it was going on and on, and I was like, what the hell is going on? And I ended up finding out from some kid who said, how do you pronounce it? Cohetes?
Yeah, cohetes.
Cohetes. And
Yeah.
last word?
Cohetes? Wait.
Then I'll say artificiales, like for art.
Fuegos artificiales. Yeah.
Artificiales. So, fake rockets, artificial rockets. But that was fireworks. Well, it turned out that like every single place around there, which I didn't know, this is why the cultural knowledge is better to have, folks, right? Every city around there would be given a certain amount of money just so people could shoot off fireworks every time something religious happened. So like it was some day for some specific like saint, like that month in the areas in. And so everyone got a bunch of like money to like shoot off fireworks for that saint. And so like every night it was like the equivalent of like things 9 times bigger than M80s. I'm like, oh crap. Come to find out, people are just celebrating their patron saint. So all was good in the neighborhood. At first,
yeah,
it was first a bit freaky when you're sitting there by yourself, and like I travel with nobody, so I'm like sitting there, oh god.
I remember back when I used to live there.
Yeah.
Back when I used to live in Tijuana, you could go to like the tiendita and just go and buy like cherry booms and start blowing them up in Christmas.
Little store, right? Tiendita.
Yeah.
Eat it to the anything, and it's like small, right?
Yeah.
Chiquita.
Oh my god. It was dangerous. I don't know why you let little kids play with fireworks, but it was fun.
As the president calls himself, cabroncita. We all have these different names, which means I think something about a goat.
Yeah.
Right. What's a chupacabra? Never quite understood. Goat suck.
Yeah. Goat sucker.
And exactly, again, okay, for my Spanish-speaking friends, I would say the word. I know kind of how it's used in a sentence, but when someone says "cállate way," and I say, I know it's like a cow something, but I never got a straight answer. So if someone has a definitive answer on like how to talk about goats and cows in slang, I would appreciate that. Maybe I give you extra credit. An excuse to celebrate. Yeah, I think so too. We all need reasons to celebrate, right? If we don't have one, make one up and freaking celebrate, folks, because you got to make good out of life, right? I have to make good out of promising to teach people how to play songs. And what is it called? Alfred books? No. What's the one I use now? Faber book primer level for 6-year-olds, and we will be doing that. Then I'll be talking to some hopefully not sick anymore 10-year-olds who asked the mom, and she promised they don't have corona. I don't trust her, but if you don't see me next week, anyway, I'll be doing that, folks. I hope you also do interesting and fun things related to music. Thank you for today's class. You're quite welcome. Always a pleasure seeing all of you. Hope you're able to get some stuff out of there, and maybe like me, start getting geeky and interested in the wonderful facts of why things sound the way they do. I never get less excited about it because I usually always find out something more. You'll ask a question and I won't know that thing, and so it means a new binge of research. And that lets you love something again and see it fresh and new, and not take it for granted. So may you do that. And if you have the ability today, get down to the Mesa College parking lot 7, or if you want to see Thaddeus, parking lot 6. He's actually in LA.
Professor Poland, I want to tell you that I'm horribly upset that you gave me the music virus, but I will try not to allow it to negatively affect my life.
Okay, good. I don't have feelings, so I don't for other people, because what do you call that type of person who doesn't care about anyone else at all? So I'm a sociopath. So, but I can tell you what I should feel for you is I should feel sorry for you, and tell you that it's called an earworm, and an earworm is different than a virus, but it does stick in your head like the sound of a bad jingle for um, advertisement that you can never get out of your head. Bum, I'm loving it. That's according to what was the psychologist who wrote that book? It was like a musicophilia. It was this Oliver Sacks, wasn't it? I think Oliver Sacks, the guy that wrote
Yeah.
The Man That Mistook His Wife for a Hat. Yeah. So if you want to hear a book that's misleading in its title, it's called Musicophilia. You think it means love of music, because philia is love of, right? Like Philos, right? So you read the book and you realize that it's a book about all these problems people have with hearing. They have tinnitus, they have ringing in their ear, they can't hear certain things, they get things stuck in their brain they can't get out. So if you're fascinated by problems with music, that's a book you can check out. And it goes a lot into that. He calls those things earworms, which I think is kind of interesting, right? You're invaded by this thing you can't get out. I feel like they're brainworms, but either way, kind of good. I've questioned myself thinking, is it really that bad? Maybe I can't get out of my head and I hate it just because it's good. Maybe I need to see a psychologist and come to terms with the fact that I really like things that I say I don't like. Thaddeus, what do you think? Trevor, do you ever like things that you don't like in music?
I don't like things that I like sometimes.
Oh, yeah. That happens to me a lot. Like I don't listen to a lot of classical music anymore because I did too much of it.
I got to be honest with you. If it's good music, it's good music, and it doesn't really matter what genre it comes from. You'll always. My opinion is you'll always find really incredible, spot-on music in every genre. You just have to look. You just have to look for it, and don't judge a CD by its cover, because honestly, or don't judge a song by its name, because when you hear it, you know it, you feel it. You know, it'll stimulate the mind, it'll stimulate the heart. There's so many different things that music does, and so I decided a long time ago to stop being prejudiced about one genre or the other. Every genre has something equally beneficial to offer, and I try to find the good in that. And that doesn't limit my ability, right? Because if I'm so closed-minded and I don't listen to all these wonderful things that other genres have to offer, how can I improve upon my own style? You kind of borrow and steal from everyone.
And to piggyback on that a little bit, which I mean, sometimes people accuse me of being overly like optimistic or something. I'm not really. I have a lot of things that I'm cynical about or disappointed about or whatever, but I don't have the energy emotionally to only think about those things unless you read my Facebook feed, and that's just me dumping out all my anger in the world. But hopefully with some sarcasm and jokes. But if you're if you do have a mindset like that, I think it can be not a naive mindset at all, but an actually profound one. It's like the idea of beginner's mind, where you just throw away your prejudices and allow yourself to listen like a kid again. When you do that, especially when you're older and you think you know everything or something, when you're allowing yourself to accept that you have ignorance and that you may be wrong about things, you allow your brain to absorb so much more and to appreciate more with it less guardedness, and then you can ask yourself questions in different ways. What's the point of this music that I said I didn't like, right? I remember back in the day, everyone was complaining about rap. Why were they complaining about rap? Because it didn't have a melody. And it's ultimately, or whatever, bad words or something, or cultural ideas and stuff too. But I try to dissect that for when I'm in my classes. I'd say, okay, what music sucks? And they'd be like, oh, so this music sucks. Sometimes they'd say what they think I would think. They think if you know classical music or whatever, you would maybe not like this, that, or the other. And so I just do kind of a roundtable and we deconstruct what it is that we think sucks or not and why it is. The point hopefully being that we have different things we value in different styles of music and types of music. One thing I love about electronic music and recording and all the stuff in the first place is just because it lets you think about sounds for their own sake. and we consider on a like near atomic level, on a spectral level of the paints we have, just what things we enjoy, and we can throw songs away completely. When I learned about musique concrète, this French movement of tape recordings and recording sounds of the actual existing world rather than just music, itself, sound for sonic experiences rather than having to write a song. Nate, in our composition class, right, we're writing songs, but we don't have to at all. We can do sonic experiences, and some of those things for me just blew my mind as an undergraduate, and like said, oh, I can re-listen to everything again. I started taking my personal recorder with me on my bike because I didn't have a car, and I'd ride in these bike paths and I'd record things, the sound of going through a tunnel and people coming by and yelling at me, and all of it became interesting. And so if you do have that mindset and you take it honestly and you take a lot of courage to just experience things and wonder again, you really can invigorate your own musical life and add to it. You're not sure you understand? Oh, it's okay, Siri.
Let's make America listen again, and like you're teaching me at least how to listen and how to hear things I've never heard before, which is really wonderful. And you're teaching me the rules. And once I understand the rules, I want to understand the rules so that I can know how to break them, and change the way I listen to things and the way I make things. So this is really wonderful to be able to break this down and educate myself so that I can learn how to break the rules.
Great. And the rules I would call style. You can disagree with me, but what I will try to tell you is, here's the things that change things in music, and then you go, oh well, what type of things do I like to change? What do I particularly like to use out of all these things available in my tool set? I say, okay, here's your tool set. You have harmonics and you have loudness and stuff, and you can change, and you have time that you can play with, and you have evolution of those things over time in envelopes. So what type of things would you like to express and do? And then as your personality gravitates to certain subsets of those things, then people see that as your style. And it could be something that relates to a current style, if you happen to also like those things too, and there's overlap, or it could be something very different. It could be something for you. If you start thinking of audience, you can also think, do I care about this being something anyone else likes, or is it just something that I enjoy creating? Is it something that's a personal thing, or is it something that I need to sell for a business thing? And each of those routes is a different choice, but right, they're all deciding what you want to do with your knowledge and tool sets, and you're hopefully all go in different directions, right? Because that's what makes things collectively much more interesting. How will you show me what those things are, folks? Audio project, right? Go on there on Canvas, check out your audio tracks. You got to have 8 tracks, at least 4 of them recorded, maybe with your new microphone. But you can express any of those things in there. So if you want to say that your new set of rules is, there are no traditional instruments. All sounds will be created by sampling things unusual. That's fine. Have you always wanted to make a reggae song or a country song, blues, whatever? Do it, right? Doesn't really matter. It just has to be 2 minutes of audio, about 8 tracks. So start going through those things, especially as you get your audio interface and stuff, and thinking, what things got to do in this class? Because there's really no grade for the compositional aspect of me. What can I do in this class that I just wouldn't do normally for my business or profession or whatever? That doesn't have to be done for my friends. That can be a failure, but maybe it's something I learned from. I try to do something, but it doesn't work. What can I do here that I wouldn't be able to do normally? That would just bring knowledge or happiness to my own life, and whatever that is, okay, make that happen. The weirder the better, folks. Honestly, people love it when it happens, and we have a freaking ball when people play their stuff like, whoa, that was professional. Whoa, that was freaking weird. What was going on there? And it's always a blast. And if some of those things end up being things that you really like a lot too, or your second project, at the end of the semester, we're going to put on a concert of this stuff, you guys and other people and stuff too. So you might want to be thinking, is there something you might want to also put on a streaming quasi concert-ish thing that we do too? Alan and I are going to be working on some stuff like that. So if that comes up to your mind, great on that one too. I'm going to stop blabbing though, but I really appreciate the positive comments, and if you guys can do that and enjoy your ingenuity and your originality and just being yourself as much as possible, which is difficult. then I would, yeah, it's hard, right? We spend all our lives trying to like be other stuff, and then finally realize we shouldn't have done that. So if you can be your own selves and do that, and then put in some effort too, though, right? Is it easy? Is music easy? I would say no. It is if you don't put any effort into it, and then you make excuses for everyone else why they can do it and not. But music and art is very hard, especially if you don't have enough rules, because you have to invent the rules, and then you have to create everything from scratch, and it takes a ton of time, and it takes just a ton of time and a ton of frustration when things don't work in Pro Tools. Before I made this lecture for you, since I was using Logic mostly for stuff, there's a million things that are going, wait, what the hell's with this? What's going on? What? Oh, I was not, this one mode, I wasn't selecting properly. I went through hours of stuff because the simple version of things I wanted to do, there was a few mistakes and issues, and I thought, oh, I don't know what's going on in it, right? Many times if there's some new things like that, just know that myself and everyone else actually has gone through 10, 20, 100, 50,000 hours, whatever it is. And that's why we're able to do it. So if in the process you're frustrated, consider that you're growing. And you can whine about it in class later, but realize that's all part of it too, right? No one's just getting this stuff suddenly too. So you're on the right path. I will have a recording of this as well. It will be in a wonderful, glorious monophonic, but at least you'll see the pictures of those pretty things coming out there. And that should be ready for you. What's on my schedule today? Probably like 9 p.m. I think I'll post that for you. Today's Monday still, right? Yeah. So about 9ish p.m., maybe a little bit early, I'll post that to your canvas. But meantime, peace out, folks. May you be well. Download the new version of Zoom.
Thank you.
Thanks all. See you. Goodbye. Farewell. I'll see you on the next day. Goodbye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye. See y'all. See you, Francisco. See you, Eric. See you, JC.